Hey y'all, it's Jenni Moseley
and Dr. Ryan Reeves.
And we are here live with the LVIF Effect. It's time to take the dental field to a whole nother level. Fly with me, folks. Let's get real and let's get uncomfortable. Okay, so here we go. How you doing, Ryan?
I am good. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back,
It's good to
folks.
be back. We took a week off. It kind of sucked, right?
Well, because we switched the day, so
Yeah.
this is longer. Right. We really need this. It's so I don't think people. Well, I don't know. Maybe everybody should try it because it does give you. It's almost like writing a letter. You know, just write things down, get it off your chest. That's why we ask for feedback forms. Get it off your chest. That's what we're doing. We've been on this Jim Rohn kick, or at least I have, and an incredible quote came across for me from him in reading one of his books. And basically, it was the two killers of success are impatience and greed. And it's all connected to the whole concept of failing forward. You know, those that are of fear of the failure or fear of the loss or fear of whatever it is. It's like he calls it the fear cycle. And it's just fascinating because some people just never get out of the cycle. And so what's fascinating about the dental field to me is, and please, I hope nobody hears this as negative. To me, I feel like it's just realistic. I feel like we get a lot of bad reputation, or just dentistry alone gets a lot of bad reputation because, you know, so you break a tooth, you go to an office and the answer to fixing it is a crown. And then, you know, a month later, the crown breaks and now you're the jerk. And it's a tough profession. And it's tough until you know that there's a different level. And then knowing there's a different level and still not choosing to do that level, to me, is that shift in the middle of where that impatience and greed comes. At the first level, for example, the quick money of a crown and is the greed part, if you will. And I'm not saying y'all are being greedy. Oh my God, please. I'm just saying, you know, when you read a really incredibly fascinating, inspirational book by somebody who became a very successful person from nothing, you always want to connect it to what you're doing. You got to. If you're not, man, you're wasting life. So yeah. I'm literally taking a concept and connecting it to our profession.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to chime in and help, because I'm in that space, I might offend today.
I'm following you, but it probably is good you said that anyway.
Okay. Because I mean, it's really right there that you're not being greedy. It's just you see something that you can make money off of.
And well, it's a penny wise, pound foolish. I think that's a phrase.
I have never heard that. Please do extract.
Stepping over a dollar to pick up a penny.
Okay. But if you only know that level, let's just say at this point, you only really know that that's it, right?
Right.
So
it's better than, because I mean, at that level, it's crown or nothing.
Right.
But your level is only crown. It's not kind of the why did the crown break and looking at everything as a whole mouth, whole system kind of view.
So I thought to myself, if maybe to help people see the benefit of learning something different would be, and hear me out, I don't want to lose people, but I thought maybe I could utilize this concept to motivate our profession. You only know right now that a broken tooth gets a crown. So that's your mode. What if you just thought about it for a second? Next time you have a broken tooth in your chair, if you think about it, if you just choose to actually attack that right there, what if you considered it greedy? Would you do it?
I'm so sorry. I was so freaked out about my microphone. I didn't hear the first part of that.
When this concept came across to me, I said to myself, how can I motivate in the dental field through this concept? Yeah. And I said, what if, again, back to that, a competitive world has two possibilities. You can lose or you can change. That truly to me is about this situation. I can take the next broken tooth I have, and I can either lose it or I can change for it and do something different. The concept of Jim Rohn's impatience and greed is beautiful because it's about failing forward. So, what if you saw the next broken tooth? What if you saw that your quick answer is being greedy? Would that change it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now I know that feels negative. Does it?
I mean, greedy in the sense of real greed, or greedy in the sense of, hey, this needs this anyway. This is what I know. There's no problem with this.
I mean, I think no matter what definition, I'm sure people, great point, will take it in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just, it's what I'm trying to figure out how to help people really change. If you maybe thought of it in a different way, would you go, impatience and greed? Here I go. Now, the impatience of just quick answers and then the greed of just quick money. Now, I'm not saying the negative greed, but that's just it. That's like the dental field in a nutshell. So, can we switch that and go, I'm going to have a little bit more patience in this thing, and I'm not going to think of money right away or anything. All I'm going to do is I'm going to just do one thing right now. I'm going to change. I'm going to look at this differently. That that decision right there is, in my opinion, where people fail. It's that instant decision at that point, like what we have going on here. Somebody has a dental problem, and instead of being patient through a process that might feel weird, and you might think you're going to fail, and you might think someone's not going to hear you because they are also in the profession. So they think they're doing something better, and the dental profession would sometimes hear me right now and going, no, you're being greedy, you just want more. And it's like, well, wait a second, I don't want anything, I just don't want to lose. So I'm competitive and I want to win, for me, for the patient, forever. It's not always money. So again, I know this is, I knew this was going to confuse, so you got to help me,
Yeah.
because reading through this was fascinating. Like, hear me out. And I don't want to have too much of a pause here, but I've got to read something. Okay, so the twin killers of success, folks, are impatience and greed. Okay, impatience is a destructive and negative force. So, um, basically, you're asking the wrong questions when you're put inside of a situation. So you got to ask yourself different questions than your typical. Someone breaks a tooth and they come in your room. Ask something different to yourself. Do something different. Change for it. Don't, I mean, that quickness of reaction it shuts perseverance off. It shuts so much off in the growth model. And so for me, and again, can you help me?
Well, just even something you've said to me before.
Yeah, you're supposed to be that loud.
In my ears, gosh, that's loud. Okay. It is, if a patient comes in with a broken tooth, then we're just so trained to just stare at that broken tooth. And that's what the patient's telling us. That's what we're seeing. And that really blinds us to the bigger issue, that we're just like, oh, okay, there's a problem, let's fix it. I mean, that's an easy thing to do. I think that's what we're kind of conditioned to do, but we're really making the problem worse in a grand scheme of things.
What was interesting though in reading this, like, there were two questions that he considers. Um, the impatience part comes, like, when you're in this situation, many people immediately say, how long is this going to take? Right? And that effort of time is why a lot of people quit, because you can get something real quick. So it's how long, it's why not yet, So that was brilliant to me. I'm like, gosh, that's amazing. So one of the questions that a lot of people do when they have these two things going on in failure that goes backwards, they say to themselves, how long is this going to take? And why not yet? Why aren't I there yet? Why aren't the results there yet? And so, don't you all realize the longer something takes, the bigger it gets? So again, not that the bigger is just money. The bigger is fulfillment. The bigger is growth. The bigger is challenge. I mean, imagine how much you grow by that time that you gave yourself to push.
Yeah, I think that might even be the kind of the place to start is defining what the success would be, right? I mean, is it because that'll figure out what the carrot to dangle is, right? I mean, is it? I mean, it can be all three. It can be money, it can be fulfillment, um, and it could be winning for the patient. All three of those things could be motivating factors. If you're not getting any of those, then it's I guess it would be hard to be motivated to do anything or to change. I mean, you're saying, okay, well, doing this now, I can see that I can get that gratification instantly versus delaying that, working at it and for a chance to get it later.
Well, that's great segue because it's like in the patience. Like keep going back and forth because the daily action. Well, we just talked in Chicago about the difference between activity and action.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. I mean, the dental practice is a lot of activity, but are we really? I mean, how often do you feel like you create action, movement, forward, goal setting, all those things? You really can't when you're having a bunch of activity all day. And it was really fun because we kind of connected it to hunting, and it was like, the beauty and the patience of hunting. I mean, look at the win at the end for them, but they could sit in a stand for 12 hours and numbingly do nothing. It's cold and you're bored, but yet they're waiting for that one thing. That's the beauty of what this is about. If you have the impatience and the greed to just, I gotta, and you just can't wait, that patience creates for you to actually have action. Like, for example, it's not that the end result doesn't come. It takes extra and more imperative action to get the end result you want. If you want to just stick with just activity and doing something and doing something and doing something because you can't stand not doing something, then again, many people might like that. But for us and for what we're trying to promote in this podcast is inspiring folks to, your hands have the ability to deliver change and you're not using it. And it's sad. So now, if the people that don't want to can not listen, but the people that do, we just want to motivate through processes that are outside of dentistry. Why can't we use them inside? And this whole concept for me was like, you get a lot of people that want what this stuff gives, this custom stuff gives, but they don't have the patience to sit through it. They don't have the patience to lose. They don't have the patience to fail. And they just need activity to feel like things are happening. It's really weird. And so when this came up again, all these things always come to me. And when this came, I was like, that is fascinating. That the killers, that I mean, he calls them the killers of the twin killers of success. They're equally is impatience and greed. And I'm like, well, shit, that is kind of in a nutshell what we do. And please don't hear negative, but it is. Um, it's funny. Let's just say you go to a plastic surgeon, and let's just say you were able to show up and he cut your chest and puts fake boobs in it that day. I mean, that's not even heard of. But we got corporations that are doing that now. You literally can show up,
Hmm.
literally, and you can have you can have a consult, your teeth pulled out, blah 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 blah, done
Mm-hmm.
in one day. And it's like I feel like we're the only profession. I mean, if you can think of any other profession that would do that,
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting. We're us custom people. I mean, we're becoming obsolete. So that's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're trying to.
I think
I even
I think a huge part of that is the money that's come into the field. Like, I mean, people, the venture capitalists and such have figured out that the margins are so much better than it is on other companies in different trades. And then it's okay, wow, that's good with what they're doing, and they're a mom and pop shop and they don't know what they're doing. If we just implement some basic business practices, we can, triple whatever. And then they go up and they gobble up all these practices. They implement these systems, which are soul crushing, and then they sell hundreds of practices in a package for billions of dollars. And down and down and down we go. And
down and
I mean,
down.
dentists were already weirdos, right? And so
Dental people.
that's what I
You
meant.
said dentists.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. We're already
Because
weird.
most that are listening are non-dental people. I
Perfect.
mean, non-dentists.
Perfect. That's even better. So we're all weirdos, and kind of the, I don't know if freedoms is the right word, but the kind of the autonomy, the ability to make choices, to actually make choices, is rare in professional venues.
I
And
just had a really proud moment sitting across from you.
oh, thanks.
Thanks.
Oh, well, thank you.
Keep
Uh,
going.
I mean, it's going away, and that's really almost even better for us, because what we do, I think there'll always be a place for custom anything. I mean, the pendulum always swings, but people aren't stupid. They figure it out. And they might switch for a minute, and we all have those patients, right? They leave because the grass is greener, and then they realize the grass isn't greener and they come back. Now, whether they stay back or whether you even take them back is a whole different topic. But I mean, I can't run fast enough away from big box stuff. I
Ugh.
mean, I can't. I mean, that's a huge, huge piece of why I left Virginia, specifically Northern Virginia. I mean, it was being gobbled up by, and not just in dentistry, and just in all of life. I mean, everything was becoming everywhere USA, and no character, brand new, corporate, and it's. Oh, I mean, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. It's just
Well,
it's
what's interesting is the the dentists that make the decision to give it up. I mean, I've talked to even a couple that were even thinking about it, and then one that did, and they tell you I mean, they tell you that you can keep what you have, and within the year, it's gone. So again, the what we're trying to do, and look, if when we die, we're the only ones left, it won't be a shock. Um, but there's just not it's hard. I mean, look, I mean, who wants to say, yeah, let's go fail today? I mean, who wants to
yeah,
have that kind of language? But if you change the way that you see the language, just like the way you change the way you see the broken tooth, um it's just fascinating. I mean, like I said, I, I I've had three people that I've worked with even this year, that it's too hard. It actually it was there. It's too impatient to wait for the goods. And there are companies out there that can actually deliver a lot at the front end, but then what's coming at the end? It's just, and to them, that's success. As long as the schedule's full, I'll win. It's really fascinating. Oh yeah, it's gross, right? I
yeah,
mean, look, we're sitting here in the middle of the day wanting to inspire you folks, and this is a work day. We have our clothes on. This is not a non-work day. It's not a weekend day. If we have the ability to do that, then something's working.
yeah.
You know, But it's just, again, and then once I read that book, and then those questions came up, and then this quote came up after, of a competitive world has two possibilities: you can lose or you can change. I thought, oh my gosh, I mean, somebody is speaking to me. And how do I get this to the dental community in all that, even in the room, that the new patient room, where the sales room, whatever you want to call it. It's like, are you sitting there saying, gosh, this is taking forever, gosh, this is too much paperwork, oh gosh, I mean, what do they say? You got to ride the bull. I mean, you can sit in there and go, okay, if I am impatient right now, what do I need to do to change that? Because impatience is going to kill it.
Well, let's talk about what losing looks like.
Well, like you said, though, success and losing is probably different for people.
100%.
But
Well,
what
okay.
does losing look
Well,
like?
like, okay, just as an example, because I know winning and losing are different to everybody, right? It's all perspective. But if you think about what the masses of dentistry is doing, who is coming into dentistry, our little cottage industry is gone. It's been gone. And if you're gonna compete, I mean, I just don't even see a situation where a single dentist doing insurance dentistry can even survive. I mean, how do you take care of your team? How can you possibly? You can't compete. I mean, you can't you can't compete, or unless the dentist just decides, okay, I'm just gonna make so much less than everybody else because I'm gonna distribute that to the team. Because in the model of just kind of general dentistry, and I don't mean general dentistry that obviously does cosmetics, does everything. Just one guy does everything, or one lady does everything. You got a team, you got to support your team, you got to pay your team. Just like every other job out there right now, it's hard to hire people for things because they can go work for Amazon. Now I know Amazon let off a bunch of people, but I mean, okay, you get all these benefits that for an employee sounds pretty good. If you're just following kind of the old traditional model of dentistry, trying to compete with these conglomerates that have a lot more horsepower, buying power, training power, can do these things that seem like uh, positive reasons to join their team, because you can't compete against them, because you can't get uh, you pay more for a crown because it's a better crown from a lab. uh, all of a sudden you got to you're compromising somewhere, right? You're either not paying your staff what they're worth, or they're leaving because they're getting training from you because you can train and you know what service smells like, at least. And you're like, hey, I can at least we can at least provide some more higher touch here to make it worth coming to us versus them. But ultimately, can you provide enough of a benefit for people to stay or keep coming, new people coming in? And I think that's where being custom, you absolutely can do things. You have freedom to make choices and do things that other places can't do because they're not set up to do and will never be set up to
Well,
do.
what's interesting is that you're saying that, like, teams that try this, the team members on there may say something like, gosh, this is hard, but you feel like you're a part of something great, right? And the fear and the impatience and greed of somewhat of the owners tend to get shy away when they hear a team member saying, this is too hard. Instead of using their communication and digging deeper, say, okay, it's hard, and is hard bad? No, I mean, it's just hard. It's a lot of work. Okay, so is that something that's negative for you? Well, I mean, as long as I can win with it and the patients are winning, no. And so the most team members that leave a place like custom And there's two scenarios that happen. Either they work at a custom practice and they realize, wow, I have so much to offer the world. I feel like I want to do something different. It's incredible. You get people that go start jewelry design companies. I mean, they find their heart wherever their heart is. And so it's fascinating. And then there's another type where you become a team member in a practice that wants this and you are loving it. And then all of a sudden, the practice gets scared and the practice starts losing sight of it. And these team members leave. And then the practice goes, see, they left because it was too hard. And you're just like, are you, please, you need to interview them. And they're afraid to tell you, but it ain't that. They're leaving because they're recognizing that they wanted to be a part of it. They do, even though it's hard. Things in life that get you somewhere are hard. Remember, you can either lose or you can change. So just, recognize those two scenarios. Like, I think a lot of people that start to go custom, they lose team members, a lot of them, not all in a bad way. Some just recognize, wow, this isn't where I should be. The other ones just can't hang. But again, when you quit, when you start this, the people that are high performing people, and then you quit this, those people will chase something different. And they don't leave you because this stuff. They leave you because this stuff went away. It's but again, that's that impatience and that gets in the way. It's almost like, I mean, Jim Rohn said it's really interesting. He's like, impatience is like an army in your head. And it's like it puts for you this battle in your brain. Your mind battles through impatience with negativity, with judgment, it's a bunch of assumptions. And he's like, you're just creating this army in your head. Let it go. Let it go. Just be patient. The future will come. I mean, it's like, your push through it, like, driving your car to the damn office. Like I was telling Reeves the other day, my daughter wants me to take her to school, and with traffic and stuff, that could lead me to be at the office a minute after our meeting, and I can't stand it. But I gotta give my daughter one thing because she doesn't get anything from me, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like telling the cars to go like move right, and I'm thinking to myself, then this quote, I go, okay, whoa, let me practice this right now. Because no matter what, I'm going to get to the practice. And what I'm going to do, am I going to make my impatience create for me to have this army in my head so I can go in there and be pissed at them because the traffic was bad and I wanted to be with my daughter? Or do I just want to sit here and go, you know what? You were with your daughter. Lose it. Let it go. Change for it. So you walk in, you're like, look, it is what it is. I got something out of this minute that I'm late. And that beauty, I was like, gosh, if we could teach this in the dental world, and I don't mean all y'all just leave your office right now and go be with your kids. I mean, do it with your patients. Like, try that concept the next time you have somebody in your chair. When they come to you with a dead molar tooth, like I said, I can't. It's so frustrating. I'm like, I want to go, how do you think we're going to get to where you want if you're going to do it? You know how hard it would be? I'd kill myself. I mean, like you want, do you see what I'm saying? It's so frustrating. Plus, here, okay, your goal has to be their goal. Goal setting. Your goal has to be their goal. So hear me out. That's not convincing somebody to do something. Okay. The power of influence is there in your damn office. Whatever you're branded for, you got to give them. You can't let your fear or your lack of trust of the process because you think it's different get in your way, and your impatience and greed take over. You've got to actually, whatever your brand is, you have to deliver that in the room, period. End of story, or you're lying.
That's powerful.
If you are the one tooth wonder, then give them that. Fine. That's beautiful. Have that brand. That's great. I'm not saying anything against it, but do that. If you're the people that want to be something, then do it every single time. And do not let your impatience, do not let your fear, do not let, I mean, honestly, I'll be honest with you. It's so much time. It's so much time to lead people to do what they really want. It takes effort. It takes patience. It takes it takes perception. It takes the ability to get on the phone with somebody and go, all right, I got a guy on the phone. He's pissed off and he's irritated. Now, am I going to think that he's pissed off at me? No, I'm going to try to work through this with him so he can see that you called the office. You really want to come. So, what are we doing this for? But okay, I guess I have to play it because that's my role. And it's such a fun role. I just love it so much. And I got to sit here and go, okay, so you're pissed off. I get that. And I get you're irritated. And I get you just want a fee over the telephone. I get it. I get it totally. But can I just share something with you? Sure. Um, if you're the type of cat that wants information, you're asking the wrong question because you're asking me for something that is not something that you want to hear. Why would you ask something that you don't want to hear? Is that the silliest thing? I'm like, can I give you an idea of what you should ask? And this guy was thinking I'm a weirdo. But anyway, is he coming? Yeah. Because you know what? He wanted to.
What
It's my.
what was the question that you told him to ask?
Well, I said, what he was asking how much. Let me just go with Invisalign. I'm just going to go with Invisalign. He asked me how much Invisalign was. And I said, okay, now you're asking me a question and you've got an answer in your head, and I am sitting here having to just guess what's in your head to win for you to come. Do you realize that is ridiculous? I said, how about this? Ask me a question. Would Invisalign fix blah? And I said, what is blah? Well, I have crooked teeth. I had some teeth taken out. Ding. I had some other teeth taken out. Ding. And now they're crooked. And I go, oh, interesting. So let me ask you a question. Close your mouth right now, okay? Do you feel like you got this? Like, do your teeth come together in a comfortable way? Well, I mean, I I don't know what comfortable is. Well, you want to change the way they're coming together right now. So, do you enjoy the way they come together? Does it? I mean, and he's like, okay, uh, and then obviously you keep going down this road and down this road. I said, so you want to voluntarily pay somebody to change that, and you want to make sure it's the number that you're comfortable with. And he's like, I'm confused. I said, okay, well, that's the point. You're asking a question that has so much more information to take to get to it that you're going to just take my answer without all of that education. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. You're crazy. I said, do you know that Invisalign is a business with a bunch of dentists in it that will decide for you what to do. And then you will go into an office and assistants will actually see them for you. You hardly see the dentist. So, do you want a dentist in the practice to actually dictate what happens, or do you want a dentist in the middle of nowhere to do it? And he said, I guess I need to come. And as I'm listening to myself, I'm a nut job. But the point is that it takes patience, and it takes, I could have easily just said, sure, I'll take $7,000, which, yes, ours is more expensive because Ryan actually cares. So fuck off. Anyway, I mean, you guys are worth money. If you're going to be the part that drives the process, you need to show them. The number is a value. It's not just to make money on it. It's a value. It's a value of time. If they're willing to dedicate themselves, then that means they're going to come to their appointments. They're going to dedicate their process. They're not going to cancel and no show all the time. I mean, the number isn't just to put it in the bank and say, I collected this number. So frustrating. But what was the point?
You were going on a lot of different
Okay.
things, but I think it had to do with this kind of army in your head, convenience, patience.
Right. We could easily just say, you know what? Let's just section it off, cut it off, take the tooth out, I'll place 2 implants, and that's it. I could do that. Or we could take the time to fully educate them on the future of their life, the future of their mouth. And do they want to come in the office all the time? And do they want to? But I mean, what the person that goes straight to the Invisalign and the money think that they're convincing themselves that they're doing them a favor. They really are. And they're convincing themselves that somebody like me that wants to sit them down, and they think I just want to get something bigger. That's not true. And if you believe that, that's why you're losing. If you really, really believe that, that's why you're always going to get the Invisalign. And again, nothing wrong with Invisalign. I want the guy to actually choose it, understanding what he's choosing. That's it. And we do Invisalign all the time. We're doing 2 or 3 right now. So it's just more or less about the patience and the lack of just quick money to walk through something with somebody so that when they do choose it or whatever they choose, they are choosing it. You're not choosing it for them.
Well, they're also saying no to. Well, they're saying no to a lot of things, but I mean, one thing that we're all scared of, or I think lots of people are scared of, I am very scared of it, is doing something and then somebody after the fact not not understanding the process, not understanding, well, gosh, I wouldn't have done this if I knew that this was going to be the result, or that means I can't do something else. It's it's like, well, if I knew where I was headed, then I'd be able to make a good choice for myself. And I think if somebody just says, here, I want this, we tend to just give them that, as opposed to find out what they want as the benefit or end result of whatever the commodity that they're asking for, right? That's what they call it. I want a crown. I want a cleaning. I want Invisalign. They don't come in and say, I want a healthy mouth. I mean, not.
Or
Or
I need to eat better, or I'm embarrassed, or my kid just told me I have yellow teeth. They don't tell you that. You have to actually get them. It
right.
takes patience to
Well,
get them
they
to
already
admit
think
it.
they've got the solution figured out,
Correct.
right? And that's no fault of their own,
Oh gosh,
right? Oh, no,
no.
of course,
Well,
obviously,
because somebody else had impatience and greed
right?
and told the guy Invisalign. So he's thinking, oh, okay, Invisalign, I just need to get it cheaper. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, let me ask you a few questions. When you do the Invisalign, did they talk about that it would completely change the way that your teeth come together? Like any of that? Do you want to? I mean, so just open their eyes, like you said. I mean, if they go straight to a dental answer, it means that they think they have the solution to something that you don't even know that they want.
I think that discovery process is one of the, if not the most important part of that new patient experience. I mean, it's got to
Needs
be, right?
development.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. Literally, it's the hardest part. And I think that example we talked about last week is, the devil is in the details, the smallest thing. Like I was that I point out constantly, of pulling out a film or touching somebody, putting an instrument in their mouth, getting an x-ray, saying we need an exam, anything dental shows impatience. Period. It just shows the impatience and the greed in the process. You just want to get to the end. You want to get to the end and you want to get to it now. And so, again, greed is not a negative, it's just the reality of what is happening in that decision process. Do you need to be somewhere else? Is this wasting your time? Because if you're a dentist, you really want to be doing dentistry, all whatever it is, all those thought processes. Are you willing as the dentist to take the time that it takes? I mean, like it could take 5 hours total, 5 to 6 hours total. And let me go maybe sometimes to 10. Because I mean, you're texting people, you're going back and forth. I mean, it could take 20 hours to get somebody to actually get to do something. Literally. And then and that in their head is the impatience of a patient asking a question that might question them. And then the greed of just saying, let's just get to it. He's asking for something. Let's do it. It's just a quick win. And it's sad because the competitive world And we choose, as custom practices, which are very minimal anymore, we choose to stay on the competitive world because we want to always be ahead of everybody. We want to be the front runners. We want to be the ones that others can't. We want to be. So we choose to change. We choose to sit in there and be different and have sweaty palms and sweaty cracks and decide to push through things that are uncomfortable. And so it's just so sad. I'm working right now on a video series because I'm hoping that practices will never want to not try. So if they can even have little videos to watch or listen to, as long as the effort's there, at least we'll be happy, right? Um, it's just a shame. I hope this is hitting anybody at home. I mean, like I said, most of our listeners are non-dentists, which is frustrating. That's why I had a proud moment here because you're just sitting here. A lot of people that listen to this are the dental team members, and they're just engaged and they feel empowered through it, and it's helping them through things, and it's wonderful. And it's just like, God, you got some killer team members out there that want to take you far, and your fear and your greed of even greed of, well, God, I mean, they'll pay me $5 million for my practice right now. I'm like, you want to be known as that person? You went all the way this way and you would be known. I mean, but I guess, Ryan and I had this conversation earlier. I mean, I guess it takes a unique people to not want to be just known for money. I mean, I know Brad was approached, you know, so, proud of not making that choice. Um, so I just, just again, impatience. If you are at any point in a conversation with a patient about any dentistry and you're feeling like impatient at all, choose at that point to change or you'll lose.
I think that's a good way to wrap up today.
Have a great day, folks. Bye bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.